Now, it's very important to understand how the founders felt about those 5 principles we've just enunciated. At the bottom of page 3, listen to this. Samuel Adams said, "These basic beliefs, which constitute the religion of America, is the religion of all mankind." See what they do? See why I was so frustrated? The religion of all mankind, the religion of America. They're driving me crazy trying to find out what they were talking about. In due time, I found it. John Adams called these tenets the general principles on which the American civilization has been founded. Thomas Jefferson called these basic principles the basic principles in which God has united us all. Now, just let me ask you a question. Do you consider those 5 things? Do Catholics believe all 5 of those things? What about Baptists? What about Assembly of God? What about Presbyterians, Lutherans, LDS? Let me ask you a real one. What about Mohammedans? They believe those 5 things? What about Hindus? Any Hindus? Well, I can speak for them. I checked it out. You bet. They believe those 5 things. What about Buddhists? Yes, in their search for light, they follow the same pattern. You see what the founders meant? That's one thing. Those are the things we can unite. Now, they were so dedicated to the preservation, the teaching, and the promulgation of those principles that they wanted to encourage the churches of America to proclaim them with a vitality that would make it an integral part of our civilization and our culture. Let's go over here on page 4. In 1831, a young judge came from France to study our prisons. In France, they had a lot of people in prisons. We didn't have so many people in prisons in America. So he wanted to know why. So he came over to study them. He got over here and he looked around. He was amazed. He said to some of the people, "Where's your government?" "Oh," they said, "we've got one." He said, "Well, I don't see it. Who's running things?" "Oh," they said, "we are." He said, "I really believe you're right." Fascinating. So he gave up the study of prisons and started studying the whole system, the freedom system. He was here for about 2 years, nearly 2 years, and he went back to France and wrote his great classic, Democracy in America, probably one of the finest in-depth analysis of the greatness of America that has ever been written, either before or since. Listen to what he says. "On my arrival in the United States, the religious aspect of the country was the first thing that struck my attention. And the longer I stayed there, the more I perceived the great political consequences resulting from this new state of things." He says, "Religion in America takes no direct part in the government of society, but it must be regarded as the first of their political institutions." Now that's what you heard in the Northwest Ordinance. That good government and the welfare of society depends upon teaching religion, morality, and knowledge. That's what he's saying. It's the first of their political institutions. I do not know whether all Americans have a sincere faith in their religion, for who can search the human heart? But I am certain that they hold it to be indispensable to the maintenance of Republican institutions. This opinion is not peculiar to a class of citizens or to a party, but it belongs to the whole nation and to every rank of society. Now he says European philosophers were wrong. The philosophers of the 18th century explained in a very simple manner the gradual decay of religious faith. Religious zeal, said they, must necessarily fail the more general liberty is established and knowledge diffused. In other words, they were saying that as science expands, religion, which is really a myth, will disappear. He says, unfortunately, the facts by no means accord with their theory. There are certain populations in Europe whose unbelief is only equaled by their ignorance and debasement, while in America, one of the freest and most enlightened nations in the world, the people fulfill with fervor all the outward duties of religion.